Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode of Unsolicited Thoughts and Opinions with me, your host, Naledi Masipa. Now, something I've realized is that sometimes my intros are just way too lengthy. So let's just get to the shit of the intro. Have you subscribed? If you haven't, please subscribe. Turn on your post notification bells. Comment, like, share. Is Spotify listeners? Follow, comment, share. Social media accounts. The links are in the description box below. Please follow. Please like all content. You're going to get daily quotes on there and daily poetry. Except last week. I took a break. I deserved it. So yeah. But we're back again and we're better. I hope you guys are doing well. If you're not, I hope you do better. And yeah, that's all the intro should be, I think, because it's just like it's so lengthy and it's like okay, you we get it. We get it. Follow socials, subscribe, whatever. Get into it. I'm not sure what this episode is going to be named, but we're going to talk about navigating through our 20s. Now, I do want to preface by saying I'm only 20 years old. So, what I'm going to be sharing with you guys is how I would like to think I will be navigating through my 20s and how I would like to navigate through my 20s. If you can't really see, okay. I was about to apologize for my nail situation, but yeah, they look cute on camera. um 20s, the what do I call this? The baby phase of adulthood. You know how there's like your childhood, teenagehood, adulthood, and the adulthood aspect, this is like very much childhood era of our lives. 20s, the decade of finding yourself as an adult. Now, one thing I want to say is I am heavily trying to just depend on God as I should, and trusting Him. And with me having my life and myself in His perfect hands, it's also going to require a lot of trust for the plans that He has for me. Because at the end of the day, God created me for a specific purpose, for His plan, for His will to be done, right? So my job as somebody who's trying to be every day a woman of God, is to ensure that I am taking the necessary steps to become who He has created me to be. Because I want to get to heaven's gates and I want Him to know me. I want Him to be like, oh, no, lady. I do not want Him to say, like, I don't know you. My heart would literally fall. But with that, it would need anyone to just continue to grow your relationship with God and to get closer to Him, because that is the only way you would get that direct communication and guidance, and following that guidance into becoming who He's made you to be. Now, that's how I'm like navigating my life, not even just my 20s. My life's purpose and my goal, my number one goal in life is to be who God created me to be. Period. So, navigating my 20s, give yourself grace in your 20s. I understand that, yeah, you've been through teenagehood and life has taught you some things, but understand that you're just a baby learning how to walk right now. I know I am. Like, I am so young. I am 20 years old. I am so young and I have so much life, God willingly, ahead of me to experience and to live and for room to grow. So, because I've never been an adult before and because I've never been 20 before, I'm not going to know what to expect, especially because people's lives are very different. This could be the decade that I get married. This could be the decade that I have kids. This could be the decade of this will be the decade of my success, me building my empire. Like there's so much that could happen in this decade, which I'm very excited for. But navigating through it, understand that you're still a baby. I know I do. Understand that you're still a baby and that you're learning to walk. So you're going to wobble and you're going to fall sometimes. But that's okay. Like, that's okay. Sometimes, no, we're not going to get into that yet, but it's okay. Still learn. I feel like for as long as you're in your 20s, you're like, this is how I see age, okay? 20s, super young. Super young. 30s, you're young. You're a young adult-ish. Not like young adult. That's why I said ish. But like young adult-ish, that's 30s. 40s, you're an adult. Okay? You're an adult. 50s, you're like a seasoned adult. Okay? 60s, 70s, that's old age. That's how I see life, right? So, with me being so young, and I want to emphasize the fact that in this 20s, this is like the foundation of adulthood, I would like to think. So, in these 20s, as you're learning to walk, it's okay to make mistakes. Do any and everything. Something that everybody has told me as I've been getting older now is the fact that I'm young, and two, enjoy my youth, eat up every aspect of my youth. And that doesn't mean going out all the time. No. Enjoying my young body, my young beauty, the energy that I have, the few responsibilities that I have, the just everything about being young. Enjoy it, bask in it, because eventually you're gonna grow up and you're gonna be grown, and you have to be grown, act grown, right? So be young. Enjoy, if you're navigating through your 20s, enjoy it as much as you possibly can. Try everything. Try everything, because going back to what I was saying before is the fact that this is like the foundation of adulthood. This is the time for you to figure out what you want to do with your dreams, uh, pursuing those dreams, what you like, what you don't like in adulthood, navigating through the real world. What does that look like for you? Like, take your time, slow down, relax. Guys, this is 10 years. 10 years. The fact that this year went by really quickly, it kind of makes me nervous, because it's like time is just moving so fast in front of me. I don't even know where it's running to. Like, why are you running? And it kind of makes me panic, because it's making me think like, okay, now I have to start moving with the time. As quickly as it is moving, I have to move just as quickly, but being present in every moment. Be present in every moment. That's very, because one thing I will say, now that we're in our 20s and life is more so in our hands as individuals, I feel like it can be so easy to not be in the present moment, because you're focused on the future and what you're going to look like in the future, what kind of life you want to build for yourself, with blah 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 blah. So take it easy, take your time to understand that, okay, this present moment needs to be enjoyed or experienced in whatever way that it needs to be experienced, and moving with time, because time is moving so quickly. Okay, actually, just, yeah, move with time. But another thing I wanted to say was, mm, most people in their 20s, because we have a certain way that things might look, and I'm going to go back to trusting God, which is tying into this part, is a lot of us have an idea of what we would like our 20s to look like, what we would like for them to be, what dreams and goals we may have. And firstly, because again, as a woman of God, I'm always going to tell you to pray to God. Like, God, firstly, my life is in your hands, because your life should be in his perfect hands. And what, because I'm giving this advice based off of the way I'm navigating through my 20s. Like, what do I do? Please give me guidance. Like, what do I do? Because at that point, I would think that the Lord would put dreams or goals or visions or whatever in your mind, in your heart. Other way around, in your mind or in your heart. And that would be your compass of, this is what you need to work towards. This is what you need to try and achieve. And again, it goes with just trusting God, because I don't know the plans that God has for me. I know he has a plan, and it's a good, great, wonderful plan, but what it is specifically, I don't know. For all I know, God could want me to be the president, or he could want me to be a third grade teacher, or he could want me to be in construction, or he could want me to be an IT expert, or he could want me to be a waitress. Like, I don't know what God has for me, like exactly what his plan is, but I have an idea. And I know that I am destined for greatness, but that's a side note. Okay. But yeah, just asking God, like, where am I going with this life? Because as young as I am, sometimes I just feel lost. Sometimes I freak out, because I'm like, I'm growing up. I'm growing up. I need to get my life together. I need to establish my own life. At some point, I'm going to not be under my mother's thumb. She's not going to be the one responsible for me anymore. Like, I have to be responsible for myself. I have to adult. I have to grow. And it's like, I don't know where to start sometimes. Sometimes I feel confused. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing. Sometimes I'm thinking, am I even doing this right? Am I falling behind? Is it this? Is it that? Going back to the falling behind part, a lot of people these days in our generation of my age, excuse me, are very successful. And it's very much on social media, or that facade is put on social media that we're all successful, we're all driving Lamborghinis and living in a mansion. That's not the case for me. Again, comparison is the thief of joy. Do not compare your peers and where they are. Their life is not your life. Their chapter is not your chapter. Okay? So understand that your life is going to be different, and it's okay if you do feel behind, but understand that you're not, because God is always on time. No matter what we think, he's always on time, and he always has you in that aspect, and every aspect actually. But I forgot what I was talking about before, but yeah, to that part. Trusting God is the easiest. I feel like is the only advice I can give you, because going back to what I was saying, like, I sometimes don't know what I'm doing. Like, for example, I genuinely feel from the bottom of my heart God asked me to do this podcast. This was an idea. This was a thought that I've written in my notes when I was like, what, 16, 17? So like 3, 4 years ago. And it's just been sitting in my notes. And then one day I just felt so compelled because I had this mic for a while. I didn't even know why I bought it. I had no specific reason for buying this mic. I just saw it on Take a Lot and I'm like, I'm going to buy a mic because why not? And I wasn't even taking content. I wasn't posting poetry. I wasn't posting quotes. I wasn't doing any of those things. I just bought the mic. That's just God working, you know? So it's like I had this idea. I bought a mic, and then one night, I just sat on this bed and I was like, freaking pick up your phone and film. You have a mic, film. There's social media, film, record. Like, what's stopping me? Absolutely nothing. And I don't know where this is going. I don't know how big or small this is going to be. I don't know who it's supposed to reach. I don't even know how long I'm supposed to do this for. Do you hear me saying I don't know a lot? I don't know, but I'm so peaceful and calm with it because I know that peace and calmness comes from God, and trusting the fact that I trust Him to help me navigate through this podcast and whatever it's supposed to be, and to hope that I'm doing it right. But my main piece of advice is just put your life in God's hands and trust God. Because again, I don't know what I'm doing, but I trust God knows what He's doing. And I'm just going to be like, okay, God, where are we going? Which foot am I supposed to use to step into which direction? Am I supposed to look left? Am I looking right? Are we going left? Are we going right? Am I staying on this path? Okay. Like, that's my life. And that's how I want to navigate through my 20s. I don't know what I'm doing. Again, I've never been this age before. So I'm only going to be this age once, and I'm only going to be it now and experience it as it goes. So I would rather put my trust in a God that knows and sees all and is so perfect than in my little hands. Again, I'm a baby. I know nothing. I'm only learning how to walk, but who's teaching me? God. You know? So that's just how I'm navigating through my 20s. And I would really understand. Okay, wait. Another piece of advice. Before this podcast actually really saved me in a way, because I have goals and dreams and things I want to achieve, but it's like sometimes when I maybe wasn't working on it, I felt like I'm productive before this. Like, I felt like, yes, I have goals and dreams, but I didn't feel like I was working towards them because I didn't know where to go or what to do. So when I put this on myself to actually do, again, wait, before I get into that, actually, no, let me finish my thought. As I was getting into doing this, it just gave me a little sense of purpose. Not purpose, but like, for lack of better terms, purpose. Because it's like I now have something every week to work towards. I have to film every week. And it's like it feels like an investment. Because it's like, if a lot can happen in a year, and we'll see next year on the 11th of October. That's this podcast's birthday. On the 11th of October, where this will be. And it just feels like an investment because I just want to see where I'm literally just pouring into a dream. This podcast and this thought and what I see it becoming, it's just a thought, it's a vision, it's a dream, and this is me putting something into it every day. And I feel like that's one thing that will probably help with navigating through 20s, because I feel like a lot of us navigating through 20s is mostly about, sometimes, well, I know for me, it's mostly about how do I ensure that I live the life that I see myself living? How do I make sure that I'm working towards that every day? And it would be exactly that, working towards that every day. Because I know I felt behind when I wasn't doing anything. But now that I'm doing something, it's like I'm not behind. I'm exactly where I need to be right now because I'm pouring into it all the time. And it's like I see it through other people. Like, for example, a friend of mine, she was working on something for 2 years and it paid off in the end. Like for 2 years, she was consistently putting in this work all the time. And then eventually, like, it made sense as to why she needed to do that, in the end. So that's just seeing how God works through you in those moments to get you to a certain point. Now, going back to what I wanted to say before finishing my thought was, you also have to do your part in the process of trusting God and navigating through like your life. Let's say God gives you that dream or vision, like, I'm just going to use myself for an example. Let's say God says, Melody, you need to do this podcast. Okay. So it's up to me. God put the idea of the podcast in my head, in my heart. That's something that I needed to do. That's as far as he can go. He's not my ventriloquist. He's not going to make me dance. Okay. He's not going to control me on a little string and be like, okay, now that I put that idea in your head, I'm going to need you to do this. I'm going to need you to do that. He'll put things in your heart and it's up to you to follow through. So, for example, buying the mic. For example, using the freaking mic and filming and uploading and putting in the effort. Putting in the effort. It's our job to also put in that effort. Are you putting effort into your goals every day? Your dreams. There's an episode that I want to talk about dreaming and being ambitious and having goals, because don't let them stay as dreams. Are you actually working towards them? Are you doing something? Whether it's putting 2 rand in an account every day, or whether it's typing up a business plan, or whether it's some sort of planning, or whether it's looking for investors, or whether it's finding connections. Like, are you doing something to contribute to that dream? Because it's like life is not going to happen on its own. Like, nothing's just gonna fall into your lap. That's another thing that I'm realizing as I'm growing older, because like nothing is gonna fall into your lap. Like, these dreams and these things, they're not just gonna be like poof, like, unless I'm like a lucky lottery winner. Even still, being a lottery winner, I had to buy that ticket to win the lottery. But like, am I doing my job? Because nothing is just gonna fall in my lap. That's a hard pill to swallow. Nothing is gonna fall into my lap. And everything that happens in my life it's on me. It's on me. Like, for example, with this podcast, if I, let's say, give myself a goal to say I expect to see some kind of growth, any kind of growth within a year of doing this podcast, but I'm only posting or releasing episodes twice every 2 months, it's like, okay, what growth am I going to see? It needs consistency. So now what am I going to do? Post every week, every day quotes, every week episodes. So it's just about pouring into that. Find something. I promise you, I feel like life will be so much better if you do this. Find something that will help you contribute to your dreams. Going back to what I was saying. For example, we'll use the 2 rand example. Putting 2 rand every day. You see it building and you know that's pouring into a vision or something that you have or something that you're saving for. Like, do it. Do it. But yeah, I think I went off on a little bit of a tangent. But again, My advice for navigating through 20s. This episode might even be like really super short because my main piece of advice is just trust God, grow closer to Him, and ask Him to show you the way, ask Him to help you, ask Him to open your eyes to opportunities that are right in your face, to things that you're supposed to say no to so that you can go in the right direction of where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do, and so on and so forth. That's literally I don't know what I am doing, and that is okay. I don't know what I am doing, and that is okay. Sometimes I get lost. Sometimes I'm confused. Sometimes I'm just in a tornado being thrown everywhere. Sometimes it's overwhelming. Sometimes it's underwhelming. Like, that's literally life. But the only consistent thing would be God. Because through all of that, I know God has a way, and these things are for a reason and for a purpose. I swear God just keeps me like sane and of sound mind, because it's like life is chaotic, but God exists outside of the chaos, and God is good. So, outside of chaos for a minute, God is good, and things will work out. And I'll work through my 20s the way that I would hope I need to. You know? Man, I'm glad that I found, well, not found, but I'm glad that I realized this now, because phew, I could only feel for people who are 26 or something and they're just like lost. That's okay. That's okay. But it's like, whoa, I'm glad to have realized what I realized as young as I've realized it, so to say. But yeah. And honestly, I feel like a lot of people get tired of me saying, trust God, pray about it, especially when you're in the thick of just like chaos. I understand why it could be hard, but I genuinely mean my advice, because I feel like I understand what I mean when I say trust God and God is good. Like, I understand that to a soul depth, like to its deepest core. I get it, because that's all I can do, and that's all I can tell you to do, because it's like, I don't know, other than you contributing to something that you're supposed to be doing every day and working towards your dreams, there's nothing more I can tell you. From my perspective, again, I'm only 20, so there's nothing more I can tell you. Just contribute to something that you want every day, 1% every day, 1% every day, or even 100%, minimum 1% every day. Just something every day towards what you want to work for. Do something that'll make you feel productive. Yeah. That's all that's been working for me right now. Pouring into this podcast has been making me feel like I'm working towards something, and I know it's for something. Like, for example, even when I start earning money from this, I know where that money is going. Like, I have a plan in my head. And also maybe plan like, okay, I want to be a great podcaster. What does that entail of? Posting every week. I have to plan my content. What do I need to do to make sure that the algorithm is focusing on me? Da, 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 da. When this podcast makes it, what am I going to do with that money? Invest here, invest there, da, da, here, da, da, there. A plan like that really helps too. Um, and a lot of people, I don't know. I feel like I could only tell you I don't know because God knows. I really don't know. Like, I don't, like, I cannot emphasize enough how much I don't know what to tell you, especially because I'm so young. I'm only 20 years old. So take some of my advice with a pinch of salt. The one that you shouldn't take with a pinch of salt, the one that you should take the most, is trust God. Go to Him. He will tell you everything you need to know. He will help you work through everything you need to work through. Like, go there. If the again, I think we could wrap the because I'm beginning to waffle because I just keep repeating myself. We're gonna end this off here. This is a very quick, short episode. We're gonna end this off here, and I'm just gonna say, navigating through my 20s and navigating through my life, I'm putting it in God's hands, and I'm just learning to trust Him. But I'm also trying to take initiative to ensure that I am getting closer to God every day, so that whatever I do, I know and I feel because of our relationship that this is something that God wants me to do, and to understand that life, shit's gonna happen. Sorry for swearing. Stuff's gonna happen, and stuff's gonna be bad sometimes. Sometimes I'm gonna be confused. Sometimes I'm gonna be lost. Sometimes I'm gonna be underwhelmed. Sometimes I'm gonna be overwhelmed. Sometimes it's gonna be too much. Like, there's just gonna be some negative things sometimes, and like, that's just life. I don't know what else to tell you. That's literally just life. But I understand that those things are not happening for no reason. God is right there with me, and He's going to help me navigate through all those things that I just mentioned to make it for my good and for His greater good and His purpose and His glory. So, yeah, I don't know if this advice I hope this advice reaches those that need to hear it. And I hope that you really do understand what I am saying. Like, trust God, please. Uh, but yeah, that's how I'm navigating through my 20s, enjoying my youth, trusting God, understanding that I'm still very much a baby and I'm figuring life out. Am I doing something to contribute to my future? If I want a job, am I applying every day? It doesn't matter if I'm rejected 25,000 times. Am I applying every day with faith that I'm going to get that job? Or whatever it is that I'm trying to work towards. Like, literally, am I doing my part? Because sometimes I just find myself sitting in bed, even complaining or just like, moping and stuff. And I'm just like, but what are you doing, lady? You're literally rotting in your bed. Get up, do something. Do something, but also rest. Oh, this episode is so demagod askis. Askis. But yeah, that's this episode. It's gonna reach somebody. And if it could just reach one person, and if one person can get it, that's the purpose of this episode. All of y'all can go find another video to watch. That's so harsh, but really, maybe we could do like a part 2 of this when I'm like 25. Actually, that's what we're gonna do with this series. This is very much a very wobbly episode. Again, learning to walk, navigating through 20s. I filmed this when I'm 20. The next one that I film, I'll film when I'm 25 to show you how navigating has been going, because I'll be in my mid 20s. And then when I'm like 29, going like the year I turn 30, before I turn 30, I'll film another one. That's if I'm even still doing this podcast at that time. But even if I'm not, on my Instagram, I'll just be like, for all my OG UTO listeners, this is what my 20s, and then we could just do a good reflection of this decade of my life that I still have yet to experience. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. I love you guys. Jesus love you more. Besitos and goodbye.